So we're going to start with really simple movements. And it can be a bit tempting to do this on the floor, that people kind of sit here and then they start trying to do it all from their upper body. So it's really important, you know, all the exercises we did this morning, that you're really moving from your hips. So even in something as simple as this, and this way, and you know, the rotational movements, I'm actually moving my body. So can you see why it is important that ultimately you are comfortable being able to kneel? So of course this, if you were working on a table, it would look pretty much the same, wouldn't it? But you'd just be standing. The thing that's nice about the floor though is you can use your thigh to prop the leg up, and that way you get a bit more elevation. That is quite a nice thing about working on the floor, is that you can start using your body a bit to rest your palms. Use this as a chance to lean your body back. You know, it's quite a nice stretch for you. But can you see, if you really do it with your body, you can get a stretch all the way through her back. Can you see her neck releasing? So it's actually not just the feet. You could just raise the legs and do a little bit of just, obviously do this fairly gently and slowly, don't big, but just easing the pelvis a little bit. And even someone with pelvic instability, that could still be quite nice, because it's quite a gentle movement. And then you're resting the legs, and then I could do a bit of massage in this position, couldn't I? I could have brought my sheet down, and then I could be massaging in this position, or doing whatever work, you know, maybe a bit of energy work, working down legs. And then I'm going to actually bend her knees and walk in. So here it's going to depend a bit on your height. So you're going to walk in, and you might actually want to just pause here, because obviously we don't want to overly squash the abdomen. And from this position, you see, what if someone had pelvic instability? Here you can actually support the knees together and do quite small movements of the pelvis. And that can be quite good even if someone has pelvic instability. And if they don't have pelvic instability, you could, of course, open the legs. And so you could open the knees like this. But another option that's quite nice is the one I was beginning to show you. You just rest their legs over your leg. So the main thing here is make sure they're even, but make sure they're nicely tucked on, because actually here I can do a little bit of rotation movement like this, but I could also lift her pelvis. Actually, it does lift a bit, doesn't it? Yeah, and that's really nice for pregnant women, because often they have a lot of tension in the pelvis, and you can do a little bit of movement here, and then of course you could, you know, do a bit of massage on either of those legs. So sometimes I find one way works better. Clearly one way is better, sometimes both, but yeah, with her you can see I can actually move like that. So you use your calf, support her legs on you, so you have to hold them with this arm, and then that's quite nice if someone's got a bit of tightness in the lower back, and that obviously is really good for the pelvis, but also it's quite a nice stretch for the legs, isn't it? Can you see I'm always repositioning my body so I'm comfortable. That's quite a strong stretch on that side. Just moving her, maybe stabilising the shoulder. So of course that's a really good stretch for the whole side of the body, even getting into the back, into the lats, into the sacrum, into the IT band, to the hips and the pelvis. But the key is she's very well supported. So this is the floor version. You can actually massage, but you can massage, but also you can stretch. So here, can you see, it then becomes not just a stretch for the quads, but can you see our whole spine is releasing? So by releasing through the hips and the pelvis, we release through the whole spine and neck. So I like these stretches and mobilisations are good because they work on more than one muscle group at a time, don't they? They're not isolating muscles, but they're really working with more integrated patterns. Then what I would say is on the floor, I wouldn't really work from this side, because I know I've said we're quite close when we're working on the floor, but I think if you're actually massaging, you're kind of here, or coming into their face or their arm. It's a bit too much in their face, really, isn't it? But in fact, our work is mostly going to be done from this side. And so with the shoulder, main thing again in pregnancy, make sure everything's supported and the movements are slower. So again here, just lean back. Quite simple actually, the shoulder. So the only thing, I suppose, with Thai is that often you're doing much stronger stretches, aren't you? Yeah. So probably the thing with pregnancy is you can take a stretch to its maximum stretch, but you have to not go beyond maximum stretch. So it's quite good to really feel your way into stretches. So here, can you see again, I'm moving my whole body. I'm not just doing this kind of movement. I move my whole body. So if you're more comfortable doing that, sometimes people prefer to do it in that position. So I'm better off getting a bit of height now. If I want to do the neck, and I often do it with the forearm, then I'm better off in this kind of position. Can you see again, I move my body. And I quite like the forearm, but you could use your hand as well, if you wanted to. And then of course in this position, you could be doing work to release around the scapula. Really getting in with massage with oil, working on the skin, really hooking underneath. And then you've got this hand nicely at the front supporting. So it's very much the two hands working together and your body. And then you could do work on the rhomboids, etc. You could do a bit more of a stretch. You could stretch here. So of course it is helping to free up the shoulder and the rotator cuff muscles, but also you can just pump and that will free up the lymph. But you could also take the arm like this and stretch it this way. So when you're stretching it this way, do make sure you're supporting on the shoulder, and then you stretch the arm this way. So again, watch my body, and then I come through here and I step through here. But then when I want to actually work the arm, obviously I have to swap my hands, don't I? Because otherwise I don't have a free hand. And so you could do forearm here, and if you wanted to come and do the medial side, you just have to change your hand position or your body position so you're facing on to where you're working. So upper arm, you want to be more facing the lower arm, and then if you want to do the upper arm, you just have to change your position. But from this position, as well as working the arm, you could actually do some work into the side of the body. So you could be doing some rib release work. You could, obviously here, they're pregnant, you have to not put much pressure here, but you could be working just on the bone, just below the iliac crest, and just giving a little bit of a stretch here. Don't pull on the arm, it's more to just lengthen through here. Then another area we could work the medial aspect, and here of course we're getting more of a stretch for the pecs, which, do you remember from this morning, the posture being very congested like that? Quite nice to open up here and opening the chest, helping with breathing, helping free the pecs, serratus anterior, muscles around here. So each person is going to need slightly different amounts of support. So I have lots of different size cushions, and then I can get the right cushion. So I do spend a bit of time at the beginning of the session working out what support each person needs. From this position, so if you're at the table, you'd just be standing, just lengthen the side. So if you're doing more the side, that's opening a bit the ribs. You're not stretching the abdomen. But the main thing here is we're lengthening the side. We're not compressing the hip and the shoulders. That's why I often do it with my hands crossed, because you can't really compress. You're lengthening, lengthen, lengthening. And then we come to the leg. So just stabilise the knee, because obviously you don't want to lift the knee away from the ground. But again, can you see I just move my body, lift up the leg, and then that would be quite nice to do some massage here. So again, just moving your body like this, working with the foot like this. I mean, you could massage the leg from this kind of position if you wanted. But if you want to elevate it, You're coming astride, and then what we want to do, and we might have a bit of the spare sheet here that we could put on this leg, is we're going to take this leg, we're going to roll this towel, this cushion away, and we're going to put it on this leg, but we've got to be in a position that's comfortable for her hip. And then we could just massage the leg in this position. Forearms actually, because forearms is quite nice in this position because you naturally just fall into a forearm technique, whereas you can do the hands, but you have to make sure that you keep your shoulders relaxed. And you can then do the inside of the leg as well, can't you? But if you want to get even more elevation, or if you want to get a bit of mobilisation of the hip, you can do that. You can just move your body, I'm just going to do it slowly, and then start doing this. And I usually support into the glutes, and just checking that there's not too much movement of the sacroiliac. And pregnant women often really like this because it's taking a lot of pressure away from the abdomen. So you could just do pumping, and all I'm doing here is just coming forwards and backwards. I could do more of a rotation, but obviously I'm not going to do as much of a rotation as supine, am I? So again, I could do some massage in this position. I'm taking you through it because you'll see you can actually work out the positions. So if people think, oh, I can never be able to remember this, I want you to remember what I'm actually focusing on, which is here I am working this part of the body. I then want to work the lower leg, I'm in the wrong position. If you just think always, I need to be facing where I'm working, so I've got to turn around. If I turn around just like that, I'll twist. So I have to do a more radical movement with my body. So all I now do is hold the leg and take this leg back, so then I can face. So then I just think, okay, well now what am I going to do? Because I've got the leg here, how am I going to support it? Well, just rest it on this leg. So I hold here, and then I can work here or here, and then I can also do the foot like this. Knees generally, maybe bring them just slightly forward, and maybe, yeah. Can you see that? She didn't have really much lordosis, but if the knees are a bit too far back, you will get lordosis. And so then you could be doing some work here, working on the abdomen. You could do some work on the sacrum, working with the partners, working into the sacral points, working if you're working as a doula. That's quite good. You can work with the legs. And then of course if they had pelvic instability, that might be a way that you could have of working the adductors. Because you can't really get to the medial aspect of the upper leg, can you? And you could even, you can't really work heavily. Light stroking on the spine is fine. And sometimes it's quite nice to do a bit of work on the neck. Not so much the arms. They could actually, you could encourage them to do perhaps a little bit of, to circle the hips and the pelvis a little bit. Because that's sometimes just lying on one side for a while, they might just need a little bit of movement of the pelvis. So I wouldn't spend ages doing all fours, but usually in the third trimester, I might spend maybe 10-15 minutes. But again, it depends on the person.